Hello. Hello, hello, hello. All right, let me see. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Stan. Hi, Joanne. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Overcast and kind of cold. I put on long sleeves today. First, I put on short sleeves. I'm like, wait, it's a little kind of, I know this might be a little bit too much. Damp morning. It's really nice to have this moisture. And the elements of earth and of water are very grounding. So, on one hand, the earth and water element, the overcast sky, the moisture in the air can be really grounding for mental energy that tends to be anxious or futuristic worrying. So, it can be a really nice way to ground. And for those that tend to be in a heavy place emotionally, whether that's depression or grief, it can actually exacerbate those emotions and feelings. So, to pay attention to what's going on around you weather wise, hot, fiery, dry, or damp and moist, and to just notice that that actually does have an effect on our emotions and how we feel. And then also for those of us in California, when it tends to be moist and damp in the summer, especially, there's that joy of how that's a good thing for vegetation, or if there are fires. So, it's just interesting, but we are so connected to everything. And so the daily weather patterns really do have an effect over so many aspects more than we realize. So I just wanted to put that out there because I know that that's been something I've been thinking about ever since I've been awake today. So Joanne and Carolyn, yes. Stan, I said hello. George, hi. I feel like I haven't seen you for a while. Stevie, good morning. Lynn, and probably Dave. Raina, ooh, it's raining here, Raina. Well, not really raining, but moist. And Martha. And Martha, I was thinking about you this morning because here I am in Los Angeles putting on something like long sleeve in the summer. And I thought, what's Chicago like? Because I know we always go back and forth. And this might be well, this is interesting to me. My mom and dad are from Scotland, right? My mom came here when she was 20. My dad was 27. So their whole life was living there. And my mom is so preoccupied with weather. Always her whole life, she asked about it. But now that she's in a place of dementia, she's almost going backwards in her memories of her childhood or life, this life, and probably even past lives. She's very into the weather. Like that's her number one thing to ask whenever she speaks to somebody. So I know that weather has been a big part of how we live our lives. And then maybe in modern day, we don't spend as much time, or maybe it depends where you live. I don't know. Anyway, that's what's happening so far this morning for me. All right. So today I do have a nice practice planned. The practice today is going to be to create space in the body and to take tension out of wherever it may be living, with a very big emphasis on creating space in our spine. And so at each posture that I will be working with today, there will be an intention for that, to create length in the spine, whether we are stretching the smaller muscles or the larger muscles. So the stabilizing muscles or the mobilizing muscles. All right, if nobody else has anything to say, I'm going to go back to my spot. All right. Okay, so for today's practice, we're going to need a belt or a strap, whatever you call it, a block, and a blanket. And also, we may need a cushion or a chair. We're going to begin in a seated position today. That's what I'm going to recommend. And then, of course, for those of you that prefer to go down onto the ground to ground your energy or whatever, I think about going to yoga classes. I haven't done that for a lot of years. I don't go to that many classes. I do study with my teacher in India, and we do some asana during our trainings. But when I first started with yoga and I would go to yoga classes, there was something about being able to go onto my back on the ground that felt so amazing to me. Now, I was in my 30s and then 40s when that was the case. I know that depending on what's going on in your body, sometimes coming down all the way down is either hard physically because you don't have that range of motion in your joints, they're a little more sticky or resistant, or there's the mental part where the mind is so quick that to go on the ground, it's like, okay, now what? Now what? So you have to do what's right for you. I'm going to begin today's practice in a seated position. You could be in a chair, you could be seated. And for those that have issues with their knees, sometimes having a bolster or a higher seat is a little bit more forgiving for the hip joints. So I'm going to use a blanket. That's fine for me. Another option is to sit in what's called hero's posture, which is this. And of course, your knees have to be able to bend. And if they do bend, please keep bending them. And you could have a block here to give you a little elevation. And this gives you a really nice upright and erect spine. Because we're going to begin with breath, and we want to get the free range of motion of the lungs. And we're going to focus on creating space in the spine. And when you're in a seated position doing your breath work, there's actually, it's a design of our body, is that when we breathe, if we breathe properly to our primary breathing muscle, which is the diaphragm, there's a downward movement of that, which creates a pressure, an intra-abdominal pressure, which rebounds and creates a lift in your thoracic spine. So actually, breath has this ability to not only ground our mental energy, to relax the nervous system, it also can bring in that nice lengthening into the spine that we're going to look for today in the practice, taking that stress or that tension of gravity or gravitational force all day long. So we're going to come into a seated position. Some of you may prefer to sit with a folded blanket or pillows and come into Sukhasana, easy seat posture. The goal here is that the knees, you want the knees to be either in line with the hips or lower. So for those of you that this is you here, that's an example that tells you there's some tightness or lack of mobility in the hip area, and you may need to support the weight of your knees. So choose whatever is appropriate for you, either the Sukhasana easy seat, or you could come into the hero's posture, Vajrasana. You could even have a blanket underneath your body, which is kind of nice. And then it's actually really nice to set yourself up to make this a ritual, to make this something that's really inviting. So I actually, today, I lit a candle for today's practice. So I did it this morning. And I don't know if it is the weather today that there was more of a heaviness for me in my mind and in my emotions. There was definitely more heaviness for me today. And so I really wanted to make this very ritualistic, the practice today. And cultures for all time have used fire as a way to either usher in lightness, right? So ushering in light, you light the fire and now we have lights and now we can see. It's also transformative. The element of fire is transformative. So if there is something that's going on in your life you want to transform, sometimes it's nice to have this little ritualistic aspect of, okay, maybe today I have a heaviness, today I feel blah or whatever it is, and I want to have this transformation. So I lit this candle today as a ceremonial aspect of now is the time to practice. And practicing yoga is now is the time for me to blend my mind, my body, my soul, to be in this moment and to find this place of harmony, a reboot, a reconnection. So find whatever seat you're going to come into. It could be the hero's pose with the block. It could be the easy seat, whatever it is. And then, of course, it could be a chair. Or if you want to be on the ground, be on the ground. One thing about being on the ground, we're going to do this lower lobular breathing, really get this diaphragm here. And I'm going to use hand position today, where we're going to touch the lower ribs in the front, the lower ribs in the side, and the lower ribs in the back. And my hands on the back of my body are flat, palms are up against my back. So just try that with me here. Front, slide them to the sides. and then palms on the back. And if that's a challenge for you, if there's too much tightness in the shoulder joint, you could put the backs of the hands on the lower ribs and the hands stay closed. So you either have palms on the back of your hands, palms are on the back of your ribs, or you get the back of the hands up against the back of the ribs. If you're on the ground, you could do the front, you could do the sides, and you could slide your hands underneath your back and do the back as well. So really focusing on this lower lobular breathing, this whole perimeter of the body. So get yourself ready, whatever that means for you, and come to a position where you feel a nice erect spine, or if you're on the ground, be on the ground, and then close your eyes. And close your eyes, take your jaw, wiggle your jaw back and forth, side to side. Open and close your mouth a little bit. So really get some tension to leave the jaw. Open and close the mouth, side to side with the jaw. Then allow the lips to touch. The lower jaw is separated from the upper jaw, so the back teeth are not touching. And if you'd like, you could rest the tip of your tongue where the top of the front teeth and the roof of the mouth meet. Just a gentle rest, resting your tongue there. That can actually help to soften and relax the jaw. There's a lot of tension held in our jaw. And take your palms on your thighs, slide your hands back so your elbows are underneath your shoulders. And that helps to support this upright posture. And then allow your body weight to go forward and back, a little rocking forward and back. See if you could feel that in your belly as your front muscles, the anterior muscles, and posterior, the back muscles, they react to where you are in space. See if you could feel this right around the belly area. And then try to arrange yourself so you are in a nice, upright, perfect alignment position. Closing the eyes, you're going to feel your way into this. And then let's ground the mental energy. So I'd like to give you a couple of mantras. Mantras are mind tools. Words that we repeat over and over are mind tools. Mantras. So the first mantra I'd like you to repeat to yourself is, I am safe. I am safe. When you bring in I am safe, let it go to every single cell in your body. And let that message be to your cells that at this moment, right now, you are 100% safe. Let it go down to your fingers and to your toes. The next mantra, I have enough. I have enough. Enough of everything, food, shelter, clothing, basic necessities. At this moment, I have enough. Food in your belly, the ability to practice and to learn and to expand and to grow. I have enough. And the last one, I am enough. I am enough. Enough of everything that I need to be at this moment, right now. The body, the then, every aspect, I am enough. Let's take the hands and bring the hands onto the lower ribs. Keep the fingers touching, the thumbs are touching the palms. The palms are down, facing the body. You feel the palms touching your whole body. You can let your middle finger touch. Your hands are on your lower ribs. Your arms are resting alongside the body, so the elbows are pretty close to the body. So try to be relaxed in the arms here. The palms are on the lower ribs. And begin to breathe deeply to the lower ribs, feeling the body moving towards the palms. Feel your body moving to your palms. So feel the lower ribs expand into the palms that are resting on the lower ribs. And then slide your hands to the sides. Let your palms rest on the side ribs. Breathing here to the sides of your body. Feel your body expand sideways into your palms. And take your hands, slide your hands back to the lower ribs. Either the palms are touching your body or the backs of the hands. Depending on what's happening in your posture, your spine, your shoulder area will determine what's the more comfortable position for you to be in. And if putting your hands to the back is not comfortable at all, you could place your palms on your thighs, palms down, elbows underneath the shoulders. Breathing down to the back of the lower lobes of the lungs and to the back of the ribs, lowest part of your rib cage. See if you could feel those lower ribs moving into your palms. And then bring your hands back to the front. Noticing what you notice there, there may be some tension in the wrists, in the arm. So not only is this good for lower lobular breathing and getting the mind to be focused on the body, so being in the conscious part of the brain, the sensory cortical part of the brain, it's also good for helping to correct posture and some spinal alignment. So I'm going to guide you through 3 rounds on each location of 6 breaths on the inhale, 6 breaths on the exhale to fully oxygenate the lower lobes of the lungs, to regulate your nervous system, calm your mind. Let's prepare by taking a big exhale. Hands are on the lower ribs. Let's begin. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slide your hands to the side of the lower ribs. Exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slide your hands to the back of the ribs. Either the back of the hand touches the back or the palm. Sit nice and tall. Exhale to prepare. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let your hands go down on your thighs. Palms are down, elbows are underneath your shoulders. Mouth is closed, breathing in and out through your nose. If you'd like to bring in some mantras, I am safe. I have enough. I am enough. Take one more breath. Noticing what comes up for you, how you're feeling, accepting whatever it is. Bring your hands together, rub your hands together. Take your eyes to cover, be covered by your hands. And gently blink the eyes open, and then bring your hands down. Noticing how you're feeling, noticing if there is a sense of relaxation that washed over you. And then let's begin to do a little movement. So take your blanket, bring your blanket underneath your knees. Coming onto all fours with the hands pretty wide and forward. Take the legs and flip the toes under, allowing more flow down to the feet. So whatever position you were sitting in, there was a bend in the hip, a bend in the knees. And we want to unbend the hip, unbend the knees. So take a leg back one at a time. Let's do a little flow to open up the body. Take your hands forward, your tushy in the air, and then you're going to inhale forward. So take the bend out of your knees, bend out of your hips. Think about that part of your body. Whatever happens to the upper body. The lower body, we want to unbend the hips, unbend the knees. You're going to get stretch in some tissues in the belly area, maybe in the shoulders. Really coming into, this is called up dog. Come forward, stay here. If you can, look over your shoulders slowly, one at a time. This helps to deeply stretch the front line of the body, all the fascia, which wraps everything, and then the psoas that's attached to your low back gets a deep stretch here. Now, for those with low back issues, sometimes this extension can be a little bit intense. So if you had a little bit of a pad underneath the pelvis, so it wasn't quite so much of an extension position, or even taking the legs really wide. So try that. See what happens if you widen your legs. Maybe that makes it a little bit more doable. Or even hands are out to the side, or maybe I guess elbows could be bent here. So for some of you, bending the elbows may be something you need to do. Try to look as far as you can. You really get a great stretch in the front of the body. And then bring yourself up and bring yourself back. So whatever you can do, whatever, it doesn't matter, just do whatever, just stretch your tissue. Stretching your body, releasing tension is so important. Doesn't matter how limber you are, every day the potential for tightness comes into our body. And keeping that range of motion is so important for health, for happiness, and for flow in the body. And then also to not let stagnation or stickiness develop. Let's take a leg out to the side, doing our gate latch pose to stretch our side body here. So the intention here is whatever side of your body this is, we're going to really stretch that, reaching and lengthening that. We're also going to get a stretch here at the side of the hip, and then you could even get a stretch all the way down to the ankle. So a little bit more side body. That first movement was to stretch the front chain, and this here is to stretch the lateral chain, the side of the body. So let's take a hand on the leg. For those with shoulder issues, doing this here may be doable, or this. And I'm working with a lot of people these days that have shoulder issues, so have to put that out there. And actually, this even feels good if you don't have shoulder issues. So try this. Let's begin here. Inhaling up and then exhale down, inhale up. And then take your palm, inhale up and over. And then inhale up and over. Notice if you hear any movement of your spine or neck. It's a good sign if you do. And of course, if there's no pain, it's a good sign if you still have all that mobility in your joints and you're not letting yourself get stuck together. Let's bring yourself up and over. Stuck together is protection. It's what the body does. It lays down sticky stuff to limit the wear and tear in the joints. And that's mostly because we're off of alignment. So take one more breath here and then bring yourself back. I think that's one of the greatest things about the practice, the physical practice of yoga, is to keep that mobility and range of motion in the joints. Foot forward if you can. Notice all these things. Can you do that? Can you bend in that hip there? That's a little bit of side hip bending doing this. Let's take your hand here. Inhale up and exhale down. Whatever you can do. Slide your hand down your leg. Go to your full range of motion, maybe even the end of your range of motion, and notice what that is for you. And then if you'd like to unbend your arm. And then do one more and we'll hold it. A lot of potential here to create space in the middle of the body to be very supportive for low back health. Now you want to make sure your low back is not doing anything weird. So think about your tailbone. Point your tailbone straight down to the ground. And then bring yourself back up. Let's take your hands alongside you. Let's inhale, open. Exhale, hug yourself. Try not to round your spine when you come forward. Inhale. And one more. And now take your hands down alongside your body here. You're going to inhale up to the side. Elbows may be bent. There's a back bend that comes into your back here. Let your throat open. Really feel that stretch in the belly here. And of course, if shoulders won't let you do that, maybe you're here. And the next time you come up, stay up. Stay up. Your arms are up in the air. Really reach up. Bend your back as much as you can comfortably. Push your heart forward. Try to let the bend be a little higher in the back and not necessarily low back. And then point the tailbone down towards the ground. And then bring yourself out. Now notice if there was tension in the upper back there, because when we come into the back bend and the head goes back, the muscles in the upper back are going to turn on to hold your head in that position. So it's just really fascinating, actually, to me, the body and how the body works, and how if we learn how it works, we can get ourselves out of pain and discomfort. All right, we're going to come into a seated position. So take your blanket and fold the blanket, or if you are relatively tight, you may need to have 2 blankets. The higher you go, the more comfortable it'll be. I'd like us to come into a position like this, crossing your legs. And even sitting in this is stretching the hips. So see if you could do this. Now, if knees don't like to bend, but try it first, because this is actually external rotation, and the knee bending in external rotation is different than head on. So even with knees that don't like to bend, try that. If it's really impossible, then soles of the feet are together, or you can have your legs all the way straight. So I'd like you to try this. And actually, I want you to bring your left leg. This is my left leg. It may look like it's my right, but it's my left leg. Take your left leg and bring your left leg to the front. And it may feel weird because we all have a natural way of doing things. So let's disrupt some of our behaviors, our body behaviors, especially if we have issues or things we want to overcome, which don't most of us. Okay, come here like this. Now I want you to take your hands on the side, and I want you to bend at your hip joint, and I want you to bend your body forward. Okay, so this is bending forward at the hip joint. The back still stays nice and neutral curve. This is not bending my back to try to get closer to the floor. It's not spinal. It is hip joint. So come forward with your hip joint, and that'll stretch a little deeper in the hip. And then bring your hands to the side, almost all the way to your knees. Walk your hands over to the right knee. You may be going to the other side there because we are probably diagonal, not necessarily on iPads, but usually on computers, there's a shift, and I think sometimes phones. But I think with iPads, we see each other on the same side or something. I don't know. The whole thing is very interesting to me, that flip that happens. Okay, nice and long spine here. So the goal is not to get as close as you can get to your knee and try to get your head down there. That's not the goal. The goal is to bring the lower belly closer to the top thigh. And then walk your hands out. No rounding of the upper spine. If you have osteoporosis, not so much osteopenia, but osteoporosis, you don't want to put extra pressure on the front of your spine. So you don't want to be going forward so much that you're rounding your spine. Come here, and then let's walk over to the left leg. And the left leg is the one on the front. So you'll experience different things in your stretching. Now, if you do have really tight hips, this may be a challenge. I know for me in my hip journey, when I was protecting my body and not moving much of my hip, this was a real challenge for me. So see where you are with this. And I'll tell you right now, I definitely feel a stretch. It feels appropriate for me though. And then bring yourself up. So the left leg was in front. We're going to switch. So take your legs forward, shake, shake, shake. You're going to take the right leg and you're going to bring the right leg in front. And then allow that to settle into your body. Take your hands on the side. So the hands on the side with the elbows bent allows you to grow out of your pelvis to get tall. And then you're going to bring yourself forward. Ooh, I definitely feel that more in my right hip on this side. So just notice what you notice. Coming forward with that flexion. And then we're going to walk over to the left side first. Let's go to the left side. So your right leg is in front, right shin is in front. You're to the opposite right now, which is the left. And then notice, are both sides the same? Notice where you feel it. Do you feel it in between your lower ribs and your top pelvis? Do you feel it in the middle of the glute, the opposite side? And if you're asking, oh yeah, I feel it there, what does this mean? It just means you're tight in that area. It's all different. And then walk over to the right now. The right leg is in front. And see if you feel that on the diagonal opposite side, or maybe even still on the side that you're moving towards. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. Let's take the soles of the feet together. Soles of the feet are together. Bring the feet a little close to your body if you can. Hold on to your lower leg bones and lengthen your spine. So get as tall as you can in your spine here. Push your tailbone into the ground and lift your spine as long as possible. Head is back on top of your spine. Knees are to the side. This is adductors, the inner thigh muscles. Push your feet together, hold on, push your legs towards the ground. And then if you did want to come forward a little bit here, don't round your spine, don't push yourself in any weird positions. So this is actually the position I was in when my hip joint tore that led to a total hip replacement. A instructor pushed me and my face was touching the ground and my legs were touching the floor. So it was a very, very, very deep place. And it wasn't my body that got there itself. I was assisted or guided really deep. So I am always cautious when I teach this. It is important to have the adductor muscles limber because it's a really big part of spinal health, pelvic health, and hip joint health. So to keep your range of motion here, and I don't like to have anybody adjust me anymore or touch me after that incident, of course. That was 11 years ago. But I do think it's important to keep these muscles open and for you to do it yourself. And that's why that hip flexion that I'm talking to you about coming forward is where I really want you to bring yourself into this. And then go ahead and bring yourself out of that. Let's take one leg straight. So this is my left leg, but you could do whatever side you want. One leg is straight and one leg is out to the side. Now this position here where you have one leg doing one thing and one doing the other, this is now the opportunity for us to adjust our pelvis, adjust our lumbar spine or our back. We're going to add rotation, flexion, and extension to the spine. So make sure you're not always rounding forward. Make sure that your goal is not to get down low, okay? Because the ego comes into the practice with us. I want this bend to be here. So try that right now. If you keep your spine in a neutral, you're going forward and backwards. We really want this focus to be in the pelvis and in the hips and not in rounding the spine in the way that we do all day long. So let's really allow this to be the health for the pelvis and the hip. And that's really going to help to take that stress and tension out of the low back area and the hip joint and the knee joint and all the places that stress ends up wearing and tearing our tissues and leading to arthritis and other not great stuff. All right, let's take your hand. Either for those that are pretty limber, you can grab onto your big toe, or you can place the back of your hand on the inside of the low leg. And we're going to do the opposite hand is going to reach up. You're going to look at your thumb. So keep your eye and your thumb always together. Eye and thumb, eye and thumb, eye and thumb. And then that'll get you to open up to where you should so that your arm is not here and your head is in a different place. Back of the hand is here. Look at your thumb. And then let's inhale to open up. Your hand is really long here. Your spine is long. And then exhale, following your thumb the whole time. Reach your fingers. Inhale to open. Exhale. Now, if you're getting a spinal adjustment. I feel my spine popping here. So I am correcting the issues that I have here in my pelvis. I can feel it. I know this works. I'm not just saying this to say this. I didn't just learn this to learn it. I know that this is super therapeutic for low back health, for pelvic health, for hip health, for knee health, for joint health. One more. Inhale to stay open. Push your heart forward. Let your arm go. Really look at your thumb. Keep your fingers open. Be nice and tall, growing out of your pelvis. One more breath. And then let yourself unwind and bring yourself out. Let's go to the other side. Leg is straight. Opposite leg to the side. Take your hand either holding onto that big toe. And when you hold onto the big toe, it's if you could keep your spine nice and straight. Not if you have to bend and round your spine to try to reach over. Or be on the inside, either the inner knee joint, the inner leg, doesn't matter. To get that, you want to be able to get your heart to move over to get as much rotation as possible. Take your hand wherever you're going to take your hand, other hand is forward. Let's inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. This is good for those of you with low back issues to create space, stretching those low back rotational muscles. One more, you're going to open and stay there. Stay there. Use the other hand to help give you some more ability to rotate. Push your heart forward. Be tall in your spine. Take one more breath. And then go ahead, bring yourself forward, bring yourself out. Let's come to a wide leg position. Come to the front edge of your blanket. And I want to sit a little bit to the side so that you see that when you do this, you still have that nice long spine. This is not rounding. You don't want to be rounded. You got to be careful with the low back and the low pelvis, because for those of you that are tight, this will come into the position. So you want to reach down, grab a hunk of flesh, so you really feel forward, like you're falling forward. Nice straight spine here. And I'm always amazed how difficult this is for many to do, to be here. And this is weight bearing. So we're using weight to stretch because you're upright. So the weight of your upper body. So this is a little bit more intense for some. And then if you need a little bit more with your heart forward, with your spine in a nice alignment position, you will come forward. Let your heels be in the ground. If you push down with your legs, you can get a little taller, get that nice deep stretch in the back of your legs. This is good for those of you that have tight back thighs, and especially for those with osteoporosis, because forward folding and stretching the back of the legs is always tricky. We could do it on the ground with a strap, and then if you want weight bearing, as long as you're nice and tall. The minute this comes into your spine, it's a no-no. So you want to have this nice long spine. If you press down with your hands, come towards the ground. And then bring yourself up. We're going to do a little lateral side to side with this open leg. So keep your legs there. Hopefully you're doing okay. Hopefully you're doing okay with that. And then take your arms up. So take your arms up when you're here. And then let's take one arm down, one arm up. Bring your arms up, one arm down, one arm. So more of a lateral movement. Come up. And then one more. And then bring yourself, legs are straight. Shake your legs, shake your legs. Take your hands on your thighs. Bend your knees. And then we're going to come into a little bit of movement for the spine here, unwinding the spine. A lot of what we've done so far has been pelvis, hip joint, low back. So let's do a little bit more movement here, moving the spine. So come into knees are bent like this, or you could have the soles of your feet together. And we've done, a decent amount at this point to warm up the body. So hopefully this is okay for you. Let's take the hand, reach down, grab the flesh, and move the flesh back. So the goal here is to move your body and to get tension and stress out of the body, right? So the emotions, the thoughts, the fear, the worry, everything sits in our tissues, and we need to go in there and uncover it and dislodge it and move it around. So this is movement to get rid of tension in the body. We're going to do what's called a Sufi grind. You're going to inhale to come forward, reaching your chest up, spine is nice and long. And then you're going to move yourself towards one side, whichever side that is, and you'll feel the opposite side stretch. When you come to the back, gather your core, hug your lumbar spine, push your belly back towards your spine so that you feel your body weight going to the back edge of your pelvis where your tailbone is. And then you go over to the other side. So to stay safe in your spine and to make this nice and healthy for your spine, keep your spine long as you move slowly through a Sufi grind. Exhale when your body goes back. Inhale when your body comes forward. And if you close your eyes, you could feel all that stretching around your hip joint and maybe even in the low back. And you may even feel this in your sacrum, which is the base of your spine. So depending on what you've got going on in your pelvis, your low back, your hips, depending on what the functionality is of your body, we're trying to stretch, move, and get moving some of this stuff, some of this potentially sticky stuff. So you have a little bit more range of motion, a little more mobility in your body. Let's do one more complete circle. The eyes are closed to feel yourself around in what feels appropriate. And then bring yourself back up, get nice and tall. So there's a lot of therapeutic value here in this movement. If sitting down on the ground is not comfortable for you, this can be done in a chair as well. It's called the Sufi grind. Okay, let's inhale forward. You're going to go in the other direction this time. You're going to go nice and slow, closing your eyes. Try not to collapse your chest. Try to keep your spine nice and long. You inhale when you're forward. You exhale when you move back. And I'd love for you to be in your body to feel what's stretching, what's happening. And take one more complete circle. And then bring yourself all the way up to center. So let's move the spine through the 6 ranges of motion: flexion, extension, lateral flexion, and rotation. If your legs are okay like this, keep them here. If you need to switch them, straighten them, unbend them, whatever you need to do that. We're going to move through flexion and extension first. So bring your awareness to your pelvis. Think of your pelvis like a container. And actually the word pelvis, I believe in Latin, means basin. So actually it could contain fluid. And so think about the front edge of your pelvis and the back edge of your pelvis. You're either going to spill the water out the front or you're going to spill water out the back. And hold on to your legs. Start doing a little rocking and rolling with your pelvis. Tilt it forward, tilt it back, tilt it forward, tilt it back. So try to keep the rib cage stationary. You're not doing much with the rib cage yet. You're thinking about the lower part of your pelvis and your sacrum. So the lower 7 vertebrae, the tailbone, the sacrum, and the 5 low back muscles, or 5 low back vertebrae, are actually going to go through flexion and extension, which is going to rock your pelvis forward and backwards. Forward and backwards. This is an anterior and a posterior tilt. And then depending on what's going on in the muscles of your body, your body's being held in these positions. So we're trying to soften up all the stuff that allows you to move your pelvis. This is Elvis Presley, right? Elvis the pelvis, doing that movement of the pelvis. So if there is a dance that was popular, that was a dance you would do that would get you to understand that forward and backward movement of your pelvis, forward and back. And you could feel where you're sitting. Where you're sitting is like rocking chair legs. You're moving forward and you move back. So really feel that. Now you can get the whole spine involved. So when we come forward, let the heart open the throat, come into a back bend. This is called spinal extension. And then on the exhale, push the belly button to the spine, let the low back go back the most. And you could come into flexion as long as you don't have osteoporosis. Tuck your chin towards your chest, feel that stretch up the back neck. And then inhale, lengthen the whole front of your body, open up your throat, keep your teeth together. You'll feel a stretch underneath your chin. And then exhale into your flexion. Inhale into extension. Exhale into flexion. Try to be as tall as you can in your spine so you allow as much movement of all the stuff that's starting to get sticky, clearing the cobwebs from your spine. Who the heck wants cobwebs in their spine? One more, come forward into your extension, open your throat, keep your teeth together. And then go ahead and come out. That extension position is what we need more of in our lives and in our bodies. Let's take the legs, shake, shake, shake. Get the blood to go back down to the toes. Let's point and flex, point and flex. And then let's come to the crisscross leg position again. We're going to do the lateral movement, the side to side. This feels super yummy. And the goal is to take the spine and to bend it and bend it. So you're trying to open up one side of your spine, open up the other. So think about the spine is on top of each other, and we're trying to open up one side, kind of like that duck when you make shadows on a wall. So we want to open. We want to open the vertebra here, open here. So you decide what's appropriate for you. If you have shoulder issues, maybe putting your arm here is appropriate for you. Or maybe you are able to go with your whole entire arm, hand in the air. What I would like you to focus on, though, is do not close off your face. Don't let your arm come forward at all. The arm stays alongside the ear when you do this. So stay very sideways. Even if you need to look up towards the sky when you come to the side to make sure that you stay lateral, you could do that. When your arm goes to the side, let the hand be light and let the elbow be bent. The goal here is to stretch as much as you could stretch. And then bring yourself all the way back. Let's come into the rotation. I definitely feel a little mellow from doing all of this. So there's definitely a relaxation for me doing this. I'm not sure if that's the same for you. So let's add rotation slowly and safely. Your 7 neck bones, your vertebra here, cervical spine, has the most ability to rotate. It's where the joints are on the neck that allow rotation. The next 12 don't move a lot because the whole entire rib cage is attached to them. So we're going to really focus on these 19, 7 and 12. These are the vertebrae we want to rotate over themselves, protecting this lower back, keeping it where it is. You could use the core like a corset to hug your lumbar spine when you do your rotation, especially those of you with low back issues. Really be in your body to see what's safe for yourself. So let's take the hands on the thighs. Elbows are underneath the shoulders. So that's going to help to support the upper spine here. Sit nice and tall. Just the head first. You're going to inhale to look over one shoulder, come back to center. Inhale to look over the other shoulder. Let it be as far as you can get your neck to go without moving your rib cage, without moving your torso. Notice what your limitations are. Notice the difference maybe side to side. Notice the tension you feel at the end of the movement. And then bring yourself back to center. Now you're going to let the rib cage join. So there's 12 vertebrae here. So right where the low back and the lower ribs meet, that is where 80% of spinal rotation takes place. So these joints have the most rotation ability themselves, but when the whole spine moves into rotation, it mostly happens here. So really protect your low body by gently corseting or hugging lumbar spine as you allow your heart, your rib cage to move to the side with your head. Okay, so now for this, keep the elbows underneath the shoulders as well. And let your rib cage follow. You're going to start to feel the pull of the muscles of the lower trunk, your corset. And if you'd like to go a little bit bigger, you could bring your hand so that the opposite hand comes a little lower onto your leg to help get a little bit more. As if you were trying to look a little bit farther behind you and you need your hand to help you. But pay attention to your spine. Is this okay for you? Especially those of you with low back issues. The next time you look over the right, stay there. You can take your hand on the back of the floor right behind you if you'd like. Get nice and tall and look even farther. Breathe down to your belly. Let your pelvis be heavy, spine be long, heart reaching forward. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's go to the other side. Take your hand, come into that rotation slowly. Use your hand on the floor behind you to push down to get tall. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. Get your strap. Let's take your legs straight for a second. So that was flexion, extension, lateral flexion, and rotation. Those are the 6 movements of your spine. Take your legs straight. You could have your strap handy if you'd like. The legs are straight. Let's point and flex, point and flex, point and flex. So allowing the blood flow to come back. So this, what we're going to do now is we're going to take the strap. We're going to stretch our chest, stretch our shoulders, and move a little bit laterally. So for those with shoulder issues, may not be appropriate for you. Maybe sitting in a crisscross leg position doesn't feel great. You may want to come up and do this on your shins. You get a little bit more range of motion depending on what's going on with you. So choose, you decide you want to come up onto your shins or you want to stay in the seated position. When you do this, let's take the strap and bring your strap really long here, and let's start going back and forward. So coming to the top of your head and then going back a little, stretching the chest, stretching the shoulders. For some with shoulders that don't like this, sometimes bending one arm may be a little bit easier. It's your body, your issues and your tissues, so do what's appropriate for you. And next time you come to the back, stay there if you can. Push your heart forward. And then bring the strap above your head. Let's do a little bit of lateral side to side. Let the arm that goes into the air be what goes up the most. So this is more about stretching your body side to side. It's more about up to the sky than it is down to the ground. And then bring yourself out. All right. Let's come back onto all fours. Unbending your legs, taking one foot back. Allow for this free flow from the crown of your head all the way down to your heel. Then I want you to walk your hands forward. Let's bring our pelvis forward and look over your shoulders. Maybe your hands need to be a little bit wider. Maybe your feet need to be wider. That seems to be a little bit more forgiving for low back. And then bring yourself up. Come out for a second. We're going to come down into the ground. Before we do, we'll do a plank, a minute plank, a great way to maintain strength in your body, protect your back, keep your core nice and stable or strong. And then this is also very supportive of the pelvis. So we're going to come into a minute-long plank. You decide what you want to do. You're either going to do the full plank or the modification, or come down onto the forearms if the wrists don't like this. Take your hands underneath your shoulders, pointer fingers are forward, and then bring one leg back at a time, bringing yourself up into your plank posture. Push your heels back. Make sure that all 10 toes and all 10 fingers are very active, pushing into the floor. Push away and take deep breaths here. Focus on pressing one foot at a time into the ground. And then one hand, all 5 fingers, really strong, and then same thing with the other hand. Push both hands, both feet, really push away from the floor. One more breath. And then go ahead, bring yourself out. Take your wrists, shake your wrists. Kind of floppy at first. So that plank posture will really help to fortify a lot of what we did today to open up, create a little bit more mobility here. And then we really help to fortify that with that strong posture that can be supportive and strengthen those hip flexor muscles. Let's take the blanket top. Now we're going to do that with the spine. We did a lot of spinal movement today. We're going to do some bridge here, a little dynamic bridge, and then static to fortify the back of the body, getting the back muscles to be nice and strong to support your frame. All right, so you're going to need your block for this next one. You're going to come all the way down onto the ground. Let's come down onto the ground and let your limbs go up into the air. A little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Let everything settle. And then bring your feet down. We're going to do a bridge flow. So take the block between your knees. This helps to actually activate the center of the body, stabilizing muscles. So for stability, for joint function, and here for pelvic stability, having the block there, that's really going to help to strengthen those stabilizing aspects of the pelvis. So let's take the blanket could stay there at first, but make it really, really flat.
So you could have a really low blanket. For those of you that fold it up quite a bit, I want you to make it as flat as possible. Walk the feet away from your body. So let's make this lower body focus first and low back. So you only peel off the floor up to where your lower ribs are. So walk your feet away from your body. Feet are block distance. Hands are down alongside your body. Squeeze the block, activate the core, press the low back to the floor, and then actually lift your toes off the floor so the heels are digging in. You're squeezing the block, flatten the low back. Inhale. And as you exhale, peel your tushy away from the floor up to the low ribs and inhale to lower. Pelvic, lower body, low back. Exhale to rise. So you're barely lifting off. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale. Move with your breath here. On your next one, come up and stay up. Squeeze your block. You're posteriorly tilting your pelvis. So if you had water in your pelvis, let it spill out the back edge, actually, and take the blanket away from the back of the body. So when we lift up and we peel our spine away, let the weight come to the upper back. So it actually, you come into that big back bend. Don't let it go into your head and neck. Slide your elbows close to your body, and then slide your shoulder blades close to the spine. Squeeze the block. Activate the core, push the low back towards the floor. Inhale. And as you exhale, peel yourself away from the ground. Feel the weight moving towards the upper body. Inhale to lower. Close your eyes. Go slow here. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Exhale. Inhale. One more. You're going to come up and stay up. So don't look side to side. Close your eyes. Push away from the ground, either clasping your hands or bending your elbows or pressing your arms straight into the ground. Push away from the floor with your upper arms and your feet. Squeeze the block. Take one more breath. And then when you're coming down, make it be slow. Take your block to the side. Bring the blanket back underneath your head and then draw your knees in, rocking side to side. So it's time for Shavasana. Bring your knees into chest, rocking side to side, and then you decide what you would like to do for Shavasana. So if you want to put something underneath your hips, do whatever is good for you to do for your final rest position. Feel your body. Notice what you notice. Stay with your breath. If you'd like to repeat the mantras, I am safe. I have enough. And I am enough. Gobinde Mokande, Udare Apare, Hariyam Kariyam, Nimame Akame, 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 Gobinde Mokande, Udare Apare, Hariyam Kariyam, Nimame Akame. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Breathe all the way down to your belly. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Roll your ankles and your wrists. And then bend your knees. Draw the knees into the chest, rocking side to side. Rocking onto your side, you're going to bring yourself up to a seated position.
Closing your eyes. Bring your hands together at your chest. So the practice of yoga is to manage your energy physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's an act of self-care, self-love. Let's close our practice with the sound vibrating. Lips are together. Take a deep breath all the way down to your belly. Bowing to each other in namaste. Namaste. All right. Well, hopefully you feel pretty good after that. Sometimes we might practice things that can stimulate or aggravate our body, and I'll hear about it from some of you. I think today, I don't know if we did that. Definitely a lot of space was created. So hopefully those of you with issues in your tissues, that won't be the case. All right. So let's see. Oh, wow. Martha, hot and humid. That's crazy. Hi, Pat. Good, Joanne. Raina, of course. I hear somebody meowing outside my door. Did you want to come in and say hi to everybody? She's very cautious. She's not the one that comes to say hi very often. That's Whiskey. But she's going to come and practice yoga. Hi, baby. Hi. Are you going to show everybody who you are? They don't see you very often. She's so cautious. Anyway, all right. Let me see, George. Great. Lauren. Wait, you have new fosters. Oh my God. Anybody need a kitten? Lauren fosters cats. Lauren, my daughter in England, she's in London. My daughter's living in London. And she just told me, I'm going to get a cat. I said, no. She's 23. I said, no, you've got to enjoy your life. What if you want to take off to go to Spain for the weekend or Paris? Who's going to watch your cat for you? So she goes, okay, I'm going to foster cats. I said, all right, well, you could look into that and do temporary fostering. So anybody need a cat? You have 4 new fosters. Oh my gosh. I always get tempted. Hey, Nancy, she has kittens. You want one? But I'm glad you're here, Nancy. You're welcome, Lynn and Dave. Oh, great. You see, I don't have glasses on some. Oh, I love that, Carolyn. Yeah, sometimes it's really interesting how things work out, right? We get what we need. And that's what's interesting. You know that song? Who sings that song? You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. Well, I find that happens often. So, all right. All gray, 3 females. Do you know, Lauren, that then I want my next cat to be gray? I already have 4 cats. I am not getting another cat. And my male has been marking my house. He peed on my iPad. So I had to get rid of the cover. The Rolling Stones. Yeah, Joanne. Okay. Rolling Stones. Yeah. When my kids were little and they would cry, we would say that you can't always get what you want, but if you cry sometimes, you just might find. Anyway, all right, everyone, have a great day. Whiskey's still here. Whiskey. It's Whiski. And George, if we get to Scotland, that's her namesake, Whiskey. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.